There we are. Just like that. We recently had the after action report with Bob Ingram, and it was
phenomenal.
Amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Excellent.
The next one, when's the next one going to be?
Well, you know what? The after action report, we don't know. We just got actually somebody from the railroad company sent us like 10 people that we should interview. So I'm going to get on the horn with them. We have nothing on the books, but we do have something coming up. The post-incident analysis.
Yes, which with Mike Callan, who is always a phenomenal guest to talk to, tons of great information, and he's going to be coming on. He's going to be talking about how utilities should be viewed as an IDLH, and we're going to focus on electricity. It's going to be a shocking episode.
I suck. We also have a battery destroyer tray that is going to be up in the Chicago area on September 4th. The episode will air shortly thereafter after we get the footage back. But we got tons of hazmat swag on the website and HMAF stuff. I should really wear some of that. I don't have it on.
We should. Well, we like these shirts for the official podcast, but... Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to write HMAF on my chest and walk around shirtless.
That's hot.
That's hot.
Conferences, we got Continuing Challenge September 3 through the 6th.
I'll see you there.
Which is actually next week. By the time you guys listen to this, we'll be kind of there. The keynote, we're going to be at the Dangerous Goods Symposium in Label Master in Phoenix-ish. Hazmat in Virginia. We just signed up for WAMR. Hot Zone was still going to. CBRNE Convergence, which is going to be actually a little weird because we're doing a whole judge of an event at Glenn's. Oh, it's going to be badass.
Yeah, we're pairing up with Argon Electronics. They're going to set up a whole scenario, and we get to play Monday morning quarterback and judge the hell out of people, which is what we do best.
Totally. So... Without much more ado, we have a action-packed, question-impacted episode. Yes, a couple mailbags came through. Well, all right, to be honest with you, 2 of them are mailbags and 1 is from social media. We often will grab questions from social media because they are great questions. And as always, we highly recommend going to the Hazard 2, Roman numeral 2, or II, on Facebook. It is a phenomenal community. Everybody there is really, really great. Questions get answered. People talk. It's respectful. So I'll give a quick shout out to the Hazmat 2 group run by Bob Kosh. And if you're not on it, I would suggest getting onto it. Love it. Big fan.
So the first question, actually, this is the one that came from the Hazmat 2 group, is what should your go bag for recon or first entry be? Like, you have a bag, what should be in it? Now, I know we've actually done an episode about this, and I should have written there, I go, obviously you didn't listen to our episode, but you know, what would you say should be in that recon bag? I know I have my opinion, and I definitely gave that on Facebook because I am not hesitant to give my opinion.
You know what? I remember the episode. It was called The Merce.
The Merce, that's right.
The Merce, and it was the man purse. And we did a whole breakdown of what was in ours when we were working and the pros and cons of all those tools. I've seen so many different iterations of this whole thing. I've seen it where it's actually like a cart, like a beach cart.
Right.
Which is more of like the California version of this thing.
Which I love, by the way. Anything I don't have to carry. Like, I love the idea of the big wheeled cart. Yeah. You just throw everything in the cart and bring it up.
In FDNY, we use a Stanley FatMax tool caddy. What do you call those things?
Yeah,
I guess it would be a tool
caddy. It's like an open toolbox.
Yeah, and it performed admirably. It was rugged enough for us to kick it around, but to a couple of people's problems is that if one's good, two's got to be more gooder.
Oh, and of course.
Now, I need an 8-inch channel lock. Well, what if you need a 10-inch channel lock? We better put that in there too. And now the thing is 400 pounds. And then you'd have somebody like me where I would literally put 10-pound dumbbells into it just to make it harder, just so people go, man, this thing's getting heavy. We got to take some stuff out of it. Yeah, maybe the dumbbells in there.
Well,
but
I would say if you're asking me, I would say it's probably going to be a small cache of hand tools, and which ones I won't speak about. Maybe one of those screwdrivers you could pop out. You get them at like Home Depot, and it's got like 3 tips you could put into the thing.
Okay.
You know, like you pull
what
up
is
the shaft.
Do it again.
Yeah.
3. You just.
See, if you're not watching, you don't know. What that
you don't know what that. Yeah. Inside joke.
See, but one of those, and I would say like a channel lock. I have seen those cutters that are like multi-tools where it's like a hammerhead and again, I'm not looking to bring an entire tool set in there, but having a couple of tools is handy. I would say all of your first due meters, like your 4-gas, your PID, anything specific for the scenario, all your papers. Those are lightweight.
That was my answer right there. My answer right there when I responded to this was, I fucking hate this idea. And I hate this idea because guys now use it as like a secondary dumping ground on the rig. And all of a sudden you walk on the rig and your to-go bag is filled with all sorts of shit. All sorts of shit. So my answer to this was, you should start off the tour with it empty. It should be empty. And you put into it what you need for what you think you're going to need in your recon for the situation. So if I need my thermal imaging camera, put my thermal imaging camera in there. If I am going to work with the drum, then I put my drum tools in there. If I'm going to work with pipe stuff, I put my pipe stuff in there. Like, I'm going to put in there what is in there. By the time I retired, there was Allen keys in there that were specific for like air conditioning and refrigeration units. I'm like, why am I going to like a car leaking gas holding all this shit that I don't need from 19 other runs that somebody else needed, and it never refound a home. So it started getting used as like a dumping ground for all sorts of shit, and I would just take it and dump it out right on the rig floor.
You know what? I think a lot of people like that easy button where I don't have to think about what I need. I just pick up the bag and go.
Yeah, but
but that's called a rig.
Right. Everything I need is in the rig. I'm not bringing the rig inside with me. Like, I only want the stuff I need. I'm lazy, right? I'm very, very, very lazy, and I don't want to carry around shit that is in there, that if I'm not going on a drum run, why is there a drum wrench coming in with me 30 stories up into a high rise? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I would say there's going to be some basic things that you're going to bring to all events, or they don't really require a lot of lift, like the papers. I'll take all the papers because they weigh a grand total of 3 ounces.
Right. And papers are kind of like meters, right? Like, most of the time you're using your papers. I don't know if I'm going to get anything on my PID, but I'm bringing it in anyway.
Yeah, right. And so, I would say you're probably going to take in. I prefer what Mike's saying. I know it's not the easiest thing because you got to kind of think.
God forbid.
But there's also nothing saying you can't build an inventory list for a drum run. You take these things. If you're going to an air conditioning run, you take these things. And so I might be like, I don't know what to put in this bag. Flip over to that run. Oh, that's the things I need. Oh, yeah, I definitely need that.
Yeah, entirely possible. Listen, ideas that people have come across, right? And that's a great way to share and disseminate information from one run to another. Like, hey, Bob, I see that you like to have this tool in this run. What gives? Like, why would you use that? And then that could be explained, and it's a great way to share information as well.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. It's if you have more questions, go back and listen to the MERS one. I think we go into a real deep dive on that one, and it'd probably help you out, whoever you are.
All right. Can somebody explain to me PSI, PSI-A, PSI-G in plain English. I'm making someone a study guide, and I'm drawing a blank on how to define them and what they mean as a readout. Also, how that readout changes when going up or down in elevation.
Ooh.
That's a pretty good question.
It's a very good question. I'm going to say the vast majority of the people out there, I'm going to say like probably north of 95% of the people in the world don't even know there's anything more than PSI.
Right. They're going, huh?
Yeah, like when you read
What?
the gauge, it's just PSI and it's not PSI-G, which is truly what they're reading.
Right.
Like most of the times when you're reading a gauge, it's PSI-G, but nobody really knows about that.
All right. So, well, then let's start off with the basics. Like, what is then PSI?
Okay, PSI is pounds per square inch. Okay, and this is just a unit of pressure. Think of it as how much force is being applied over a certain area. So in this case, it's pounds. You got to think about this literally. It is pounds per square inch. So it's like saying miles without specifying it's miles per hour or something like that. You need context. So it's a amount of pressure over square inches. I've never, honestly, I don't think I've ever heard pounds per square foot. I'm sure there's applications for it, but I've never heard it.
I'm sure I would imagine really, really, really tiny pressures would end up going over pounds per square foot. Pounds per square foot, isn't that
The Zeppelin?
No, if you're doing no, because I remember doing like when I was doing engineering formulas for when I put in the structural beams in the house, and I'm trying to think if the roof load is in PSI
that is in pounds per square foot.
It's in pounds per square foot, right?
Floors.
Yeah. Live loads and dead loads. All right, pounds per. I knew it sounded familiar.
Pressure, but yeah, that's a good loading. I guess they do use pounds per square foot.
It's still it is pressure. All right, so then what is PSI-A, which would be, a lot of people think this is pounds per square inch atmosphere, and it's not. It actually stands for pounds per square inch absolute, and absolute is a mathematical term meaning the actual distance from one point to another, whether it's positive or negative. So PSI-A is the pressure including the atmospheric pressure. It's a measure of the pressure that starts from an absolute zero vacuum. So on Earth, if you're at sea level, the atmospheric pressure is about 14.7 psi. So if your tire is reading 30 psi-A, there's actually 15.3 psi above the atmospheric pressure. So you have your atmospheric pressure of 14.7 psi, and you have your tire pressure that exceeds atmospheric pressure by 15.3, giving you a total of 30.
Anywho, you got your pounds
per square inch.
Square inch
and
gauge.
We got our absolute, gauge. That's the next one. I couldn't remember what the next one was.
Right. So PSI-G is what most people see on gauges like, the tire gauge or whatever it is. It only measures the pressure above atmospheric pressure. So if you're at sea level, again, we haven't gone into elevation, but if you're at sea level and your gauge reads 30 psi-G, then it's 30 pounds more than the surrounding air pressure, which is 14.7 pounds at sea level. So the actual total pressure is 44.7 psi.
I think this is the one we generally think of when we think of our typical gauges. Like if you take out a gauge and you're at zero from the beginning, you're at a PSI-G.
Zero. Right.
Well, it's not truly
zero,
but
zero above 14.7.
Right. So if your gauge is reading zero when you just pull it out, then you're reading at PSI-G. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it was a true PSI, it'd be reading at 14.7.
Right. All right. So how does elevation then affect all of this? Well, as you go up in elevation, there is less air above us, so there's less atmospheric pressure pushing down on us. So your atmospheric pressure is therefore going to decrease. So 10,000 feet, atmospheric pressure is somewhere around not 14, that's sea level.
10 psi instead of 14.7. Your PSI-G readings, the one that you get on the most gauges, would stay the same for something like a tire, but your PSI-A, your absolute pressure, would be lower because there's less atmospheric pressure to contribute to that total.
And if you go down, right, if we go down like in a valley or underwater or whatever, atmospheric pressure increases. So this would increase the PSI-A, absolute, but it would not change your PSI-G. That is going to remain constant.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
All right.
Stuff.
The next one wasn't actually like a mailbag, like somebody asked us a question. This one actually came from a department that was looking to have us come in and do dry decon training. So they said, trying to push my department towards dry decon, or at least away from the washdown method that we do. Getting a lot of pushback because my officers are saying that it is not supported by the standard. Is there something my department can do according to NFPA?
Yes, of course. Dry decon is recognized as an acceptable method within the NFPA 470 materials. Specifically, the document mentions it as a part of the advanced decontamination procedures.
Yeah, and we can actually cite it, right? So right from NFPA, given examples of hazardous materials / WMD incidences and an assignment, hazardous materials technician with advanced decon specialties shall describe the following types of advanced decontamination procedures as used by the AHJ, meaning the authority having jurisdiction has the right to say this is what we're using. Advanced decon solution as one of them, dry decon solution, remote location with limited water decon as 3 examples of a dry or hybrid style decon.
So tell your officers stuff.
Yeah, and then tell them to come back and we'll train them so they know what they're doing.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Is there minimal equipment that is required to respond to a radiation incident?
Like so many other things, it's kind of a gray area. And I think when people ask this question, they want like a real answer. Like, yes, use suit ABCD, use meter ABCD. But it's a lot, I'm not going to say more convoluted, but it's a lot more blurry than that, where they basically just are like, hey, you have to have approved personal protective equipment designed to minimize the exposure to both external and internal radiation during an incident. This includes specialized clothing and respiratory protection. So I hope that helped you on the PPE selection.
Yeah, and they also say you need some instruments because radiation is one of those things that if you don't have an instrument, you don't know it's there. So they go into about appropriate radiation survey instruments by detecting or monitoring radiation levels, and examples can include contamination survey meters, radiation exposure rate survey meters, and dosimetry devices.
Yeah, see, one of the difficult things about being a technician, and we talk about this a lot, is that you're going over from an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure, to decision making, where you're taking a bunch of information and you're making the best possible decision. And that can be really unnerving to people because, you know, firefighters like the if then then statement. Decon is no different, right? So the guidelines require technical decontamination equipment for both personal and tools used in radiological incident. This equipment is vital for ensuring that contamination is controlled and mitigated. Now, there is approximately, there's about a dozen recognized decontamination procedures and techniques, both within NFPA and OSHA. So your job, right, in all 3 of these sections, meters, equipment, and decon, is to really learn about everything that's available to you. And then your job as the technician or the specialist or the incident commander or the safety officer is to turn around and choose the best equipment and the best PPE, the best meters, the best decon procedures that fit your situation. There is no more SOP in hazmat. There is no if, then statement. So is there a minimum? Yeah, there's minimum, but nobody tells you what that minimum is.
I love it. See you guys next week.